So what we're doing today is rebuilding the carburetor. The reason we're doing that is because it has a really hard time starting. It's fine when it's warm, but starting it initially when it's cold, like right now, is extremely difficult. You gotta hold the choke out for like 5 minutes before this thing will actually run. I'm gonna show you. Choke. And it dies. It'll do that until it's warm. So, this kit, fuel filter, it was supposed to come with Harley plugs. Instead, we have Honda plugs for some reason. We're gonna put them in there anyways. New lines for the carburetor, fuel line, float, different jets, springs. I mean, we have everything. So, first things first, got to pull air filter off, and then we'll be able to pop the carb out. So we have 3 of these holding the actual housing of the filter to the carburetor. This one is actually broken off down inside there, and these 2 bolts is holding it to the motor. We're going to pop off, then we'll be able to pop the carb out. So this is actually just seated on the bike itself. You have 2 throttle cables coming in. Pull this off, disconnect 2 throttle cables. Then we'll be able to actually take the carb over to the table and really dig into it. The little bit of fuel that was in here looked pretty bad. That's probably why we have a hard time getting it to start. So next, we're gonna take the float ball off, pull it out, and check the jets and everything else. You can see it's a little gummy in there. It's got some nasty stuff going on. A little bit of grit. That little bit of grit and stuff will gum up a jet, no problem. Okay, you see all that down in there? That is probably why this thing is running so poorly. It is gummy. So we're gonna, yeah, look at that jet's got some gum in it too. It's probably from old gas that's been sitting in the tank. I did clean the tank out. Actually, there was some rust spots in it, so I dumped it out, put some vinegar in it, cleaned it all out, and that helped for a little while. I don't know if it was old gas from the pump that I got, because the gas that's in it right now has not been in it that long, a few weeks. So we have to keep an eye on that. But man, look at that. You see the little shiny spot right there? That's goop stuck in the jet. It's probably making it run like shit. So we're gonna get this out, take the float out, take these jets out, probably soak this in the carb cleaner, get it all cleaned up, see what jets we're gonna put in it next. I don't know how many of you people that are watching the video actually have rebuilt carbs before, but if you look, the pin that is holding the floats on, there's an arrow. Bam. It's a tapered pin, so it only goes in and comes out one way. The arrow is an indicator of which way. Look at this thing. I really hope you guys can see all the grit that's on it. Guaranteed why this thing is not running right. That down there is just nasty. It's like cake. So we're gonna soak this whole thing. Normally, you would wanna get every piece of plastic and rubber off the carburetor before you soak it in carb cleaner. The only thing we could not get off is this is where the fuel comes in. That's fixed to the carburetor. So we're just gonna have to let her go. Hopefully that cleans it out. So carburetor in there. That'll seat just nice. Jets. Nice little spot for them. Down there. That's gonna sit. I'll probably leave it in there. We're gonna take our fuel line. We're gonna clean this stuff up. Get the new fuel lines on, the new fuel filter. And these spark plugs will get in there too. This should clear everything up. I'm gonna show you guys this. This is the old filter. Look how nasty that is. Look at the stuff that's in there. Ew. Compared to the new filter. That is a big difference. What happens when you buy cheap parts? You break them. So this is useless now. Luckily we had a backup filter. We got it nice and snug up in there underneath the tank. Now we're gonna change out these plugs. Now, this was an actual Harley plug I bought from a dealership, and I had two of them in it. One of them ended up losing its spark, which was weird. This actually came out of the KTM 620, and has been great. It's worked pretty good so far. That one doesn't look too bad. What do you think? This one looks about the same. I'm curious, the gaps look about the same. I'm not gonna measure them, I'm gonna just throw the plugs in and run it. It's crazy because it even says Honda on it. It's supposed to be for a Harley. I don't understand. But, oh well. As long as it threads in there right, we're gonna run them. So, you look, this little gritty, grimy stuff, that's what's in the jets and the carburetor. Probably should have put this in the cleaner with it, but we'll just spray it out, scrub it out, and it'll be okay.
Dash tones, pretty dark.
Deftones and ooh, it's not dark.
It's pretty dark.
How is it dark? No, like Ghost is dark.
I don't know who Ghost is.
Deftones are great. They remind me of Christmas.
What? Repeat what you just said?
Deftones remind me of Christmas. Think about it.
In like, what way?
Because when I was younger, we would have events with all these different lights and different stuff like that, and some of the music that we played, that I played with other bands, was Deftones songs, you know, cover songs and stuff. So every time I hear a Deftones song, it reminds me of Christmas lights and all the happy flashing stuff, and it's true, like that's a thing.
Okay, so like young adult teenage Christmas. I'm thinking like little kid Christmas. I'm like, what?
No, like you're
what?
partying getting hammered with your buddies, playing music, enjoying life, you know, not caring about really anything.
Not paying taxes or worrying about your bills or your 401k, none of that.
Nothing to worry about cleaning a Harley. The good old days. We're gonna put the new float, the new needle, and the new pin in the carb. Now, one thing that you really got to pay attention to if you're gonna do this is where the float needle, I guess it'd be a shaft, is facing. That little silver pin right there in the middle. You want to make sure they were different. They're set different, and what that is, it's going to allow the flow, the fuel, to go past the needle at a different point of where the float is sitting. So I'd actually bend this one a little bit to match this one and see. It's a trial and error thing. We're going to see if it works. If not, with the dirt bikes especially, I've messed with them a whole lot before. So you've had to bend them a little bit here, a little bit there, and really to get the bike to run correctly the way you want it to. Depending on your altitude and where you're at and how you have it jetted, will really, that makes a huge difference, as small as it may seem. And if you're uncomfortable doing it because it makes a huge change, you can take it to a dealership or to somebody, a mechanic that is really confident in what they're doing, because they're really easy to break. So, something else I noticed, I'm going to put a screenshot of the kit that I bought for this Harley carburetor. It came with multiple jets, which is awesome. But we cannot use this, we can't use this, we can't use this. We can use a couple of these little cotter pins. We can use them. The springs and stuff we could probably use in a different carburetor. But from what I'm getting from the kit that we bought, it's just a generic kit. You can use kind of pieces, parts here and there for different carburetors. So it's not bike specific. It just will work with our Harley. That's why we have Honda spark plugs that were supposed to be American made Harley plugs. The Harley plugs that I bought, these right here, specific for the Harley Sportster. These are drag specialty plugs. In the beginning of the video, I told you guys when I was changing the plugs out that I had a problem with one. It lost spark, and I had to put an NGK race plug in it, basically from one of the dirt bikes, in order to fix that problem. So these I'm not too excited about. We're gonna put them in the Harley and see what happens. So you really want to get this stuff on your skin, but I don't have any gloves available right now, so we'll show you the effects of what it does to your skin. So normally, normally you would basically rinse this thing out with water, as weird as that sounds. We're not going to do that this time because our water source is unavailable at the moment. So I'm going to just spray it out, and it'll probably be better than rinsing this thing out with water, because water creates rust. I'm not sure what, I'm pretty sure this is aluminum carburetor. I don't know if aluminum can rust. Can aluminum rust? Here we go.
It's not bad to have that residue in there.
What was in here was worse than anything that I'm doing right now. Told you in another video, I'm not going to take it easy on this bike at all. So what we are going to do, we change this jet out. This one, this is a 180, if it will focus. Not going to focus, it's 185. We put a 190 in it. Hopefully that clears up a little bit of the bog and the goop. We're also going to change this jet out as well. It is a 45. We're taking the old 45, we're putting in a new 45. Even though the old 45 is clean, we're gonna stick it off to the side because you guys saw how gummy that carburetor was. It's no good. So really the only difference we made in the jetting is instead of having a 185, we put a 190 in it. So there's a method that you can use to where when you're rebuilding carburetors to set the tilt point on this. There's a specific word for it. I just don't know what it is. you are supposed to be at a certain degree angle. I think it's 45-degree angle or something. So where everything is right at its tipping limit, and it works well together. That way, when you mount it back on the bike and you put it full of fuel, the float and the float needle and everything works the way it is supposed to. Okay, so we got the carburetor back together and back on. It took some finesse to actually get the fuel line right because it's a new line and going uphill and downhill. It didn't want to feed the float bowl, but we finally got it. And what we're gonna do is do a test run with what we have now without putting the air cleaner back on it, just for a couple seconds to see if we can start it without the choke on. So with this cheapo rebuild kit, this is the choke, that's on, that's off. You guys saw that earlier. With the new fuel filter and fuel line right here. It's a little pinched, but I don't think that will be a big problem. We're gonna see if we can start it. Key on, run, start. That is a huge difference. So now we know it's I wouldn't say it's fixed completely because whatever's going on in this gas tank, we might want to just replace the whole tank itself because there is some rust in there still. That's why we have fuel filters on hand. So we're gonna get the air cleaner back on here and just see how it acts because originally, like you guys saw earlier, it bogged down a lot with the throttle. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the air cleaner back on here and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, the air filter is back on. Now, see, the choke is still off. We have not used the choke at all. The fog's cleared up a little bit. Try and get on it. It's fighting through it. It would die if it wasn't, if it didn't sit here for at least 15-20 minutes. It would die when you got into the friction zone of the clutch. And now, it's ready to go. Before, if you got into any kind of clutch engagement, it would cough a couple times and it would bog down and die. And now the bog is completely gone. These carb kits, man. Like I said, I went a cheap route just to see if it would work, to put out a video to prove whether they worked or not. And this is proof they actually work. Before, even just the couple minutes I've had it running, I would have to have the choke on, and you guys saw how gummy the carburetor was anyways. So now, before, we would have to have the choke still on, and I mean the thing would just be all over the place. So now it's idling, you know, and it doesn't seem like it's ready to sit down and take a nap. It seems like it's ready to go for a ride, which is a night and day difference. So I think that's a plus. So we're 20 couple bucks on eBay. if you have carburetor problems, I mean, this will clear them up. I wouldn't say it's a permanent fix. I would actually want to put electron carburetor on this bike, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to keep it. So before I invest, you know, 500 plus bucks in the electron, like I did the dirt bikes, I want to make sure I'm going to keep it. I want to make sure I'm going to ride it all the time. Because with this, every 6 months you can put a $20 kit on it and clear everything up and get back to normal. Dealing with the rusty gas tank and all of that. So there is the proof that these cheapo kits, even though they have the Harley now has Honda plugs in it, which I don't really care about that. These cheapo, you know, carb rebuild kits, man, they actually work. So I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys have done, what kind of kits you have installed on your carburetors, if you have a carbureted bike. If not, fuel injection and all of that stuff, I know it's great, but I'm a carb guy. I like tearing into stuff. I like rebuilding shit. So until next time, I'm Tin West Moto. I'll see you guys on the starting line.